Deep in the heart of Blue Ridge, Georgia, 9 players have gathered for the game of a lifetime, Survivor Atlanta. This game will require them to outwit, outplay, and outlast, navigating social politics, challenges, and strategy in order to be the last one standing. The players have been separated into 2 tribes. Boquete, wearing red buffs, consists of Bradley Barker, Caroline Steineman, Sierra Hansen, and Caleb Jones. Ivaco, wearing blue buffs, consists of Bridget Pelton, Nick Steineman, Sophia Diorio, and Zach Hansen. Chloe Troyer, the final player, drew a gray buff and will not join the tribe until after the first reward challenge. These 9 players will be forced to work together, battling the game, challenges, and each other. They must learn to adapt or they'll be voted out. In the end, only one will remain to claim the $150 prize and the title of sole survivor. 15 hours, 9 people, 1 survivor. Survivors ready!
Ready.
Go! In this challenge, players race to find 4 blocks hidden throughout the grounds. Once a player found a block, they'd bring it back, and another tribe member would go find the next block. Once all 4 blocks had been found, the tribe could start working on their puzzle.
Nick has disappeared behind a building. We don't know where either of them are right now. Bradley making his way around the dilapidated rock climbing wall. Nick, meanwhile, has emerged from behind the building, making his way towards the yellow cabin. Ivaco started work on their puzzle, but this is a tricky one. It is deceptive in its difficulty.
For this puzzle, players had to work in teams of 2 to build a tower of 4 blocks so that no color was repeating on any side of the tower. The first team to complete this puzzle would win reward and get to choose whether to have Chloe on their tribe or send her to the losing tribe. Ivaco found their blocks first and got a big head start on the puzzle, leaving Boquete to catch up.
Nick and Sophia working away at this puzzle. I will tell you, it is deceptively hard. It took me a while when I tried to solve this one myself. Caroline has found the 4th block, and suddenly it is a new game. Okay, is back in this. Both tribes working on their puzzle. In theory, they should have a big deficit to make up, but with this one, it could click at any time.
After a long gap, Boquete found their last block. With both tribes working on their puzzle, it was anyone's game. But after a while with no progress, we realized a big problem. The blocks had been switched, making the puzzle impossible to solve. With Ivaco's big lead coming into the puzzle, it was determined that they'd won reward, and they chose to add Chloe to their tribe.
Go! Both tribes making their first attempt to lift the tennis ball.
For the immunity challenge, tribes had to transport a ball from one end of the field to the other using a metal ring with rope attached. Each player would hold on to one end of a rope, with the tribe working together to keep the ball balanced. After the first checkpoint, teams had to pass through a hula hoop while keeping the ball balanced on the ring. Finally, the tribe would have to drop the ball into a cone in order to win immunity and be safe from the first tribal council.
Ivaco, meanwhile, Sophia navigating her way through the hula hoop.
Ivaco got off to a quick start, reaching the hula hoop first. With Boquete on their heels, Ivaco quickly found a way to get all 4 members of their tribe through the hoop without dropping the ball. Meanwhile, Boquete struggled with their hoop, trying to find the best way to get through without leaving tension on their rope. With Boquete still struggling on their hoop, Ivaco made it to the end. All they had to do was drop the ball in the cone, and the first tribal immunity was theirs.
They are making their final step, lowering. Ivaco! First immunity, safe from this tribal council, cannot be voted out of the game this round. They win. Woo!
Yeah, let's go!
When Boquete headed to their first tribal council, they were forced to strategize and decide who would be the first player voted out of the game. At tribal council, they'd answer questions about the game from me before each voting to decide who that unlucky first player out would be.
Well, Caleb, do you see you are a smaller tribe, and obviously that didn't work out the first time, but do you see this as an advantage or a disadvantage overall in the game having that smaller tribe?
Oh, it's a disadvantage easily.
Okay.
And the goal of the game is to get as far as possible, and to get as far as possible, you want to not go to tribal council. So
Sure.
going to tribal council, that's a one-way ticket.
Sure. Strategically, though, or at least as a tribe, do you feel that fewer people makes it easier to bond or harder to bond? You know, like as a core.
I mean, I feel like we're already starting a smaller tribe, so like developing those tight-knit bonds is not necessarily going to be easier with less people. So I don't think there's an advantage to having less people.
Okay.
I think they have more exposure with smaller cliques inside of their tribe, though, that we don't have. Like, I feel like, besides the obviously the like girl guys split, like it's, they have more opportunity for people to go off and have their own thoughts.
They do have more opportunity to build, like Sierra said, smaller cliques, so you can
voting blocks.
Yeah.
Well, but Bradley, do you see that as a good thing overall or a bad thing? Because you could point out, sure, they're able to break into smaller cliques, but someone has to be on the minority of that, right? Someone's going to get screwed by having 5 people as opposed to 4 because they're going to be on the wrong side of the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, with the number 4, it does lend itself to a lot more like conniving, because it's like you want to be honest, but you also got to make it far.
Sure.
To do that, someone is going to be lied to, and I just hope it's not me.
Caroline, how are you feeling tonight?
I think it's fine that we're smaller. I think it's fine because we're more straightforward. They have more ability to be more cliquey, and I don't know anything about Chloe, so she could have been a liability.
Good to know.
She's cool and can hang.
Well, that's
I like your sister.
That's fair, but
I don't think the issue is necessarily losing the first challenge. The issue is losing them back to back.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
where you not only now they're up 2 people on us. Right?
Sure.
Which is not a good look.
Day 2.
I think also like with Chloe, like she wasn't somebody I was optimistic was going to help us with challenges. Like she was small, so that helped us with the hoop, but like I wasn't like banking on her to help us with big challenges. So
She's a wild card. I mean, you don't know what she has to offer. I think.
sure. Yeah, no, I
The
mean,
more numbers you have, the better.
probably the least known person among the group. I don't think none of you had met her prior to this weekend.
No, this hurt.
Are any of you worried about idols?
I mean, yeah, I saw Nick walking around here.
If anyone's gonna find it, it's Nick.
Yeah.
Sure.
I also feel like if there was an idol out here, somebody would have found it.
So, I'm on Team Ivaco. We just won our first immunity challenge. Now I'm looking for idols. Just looking around in the woods. Chapel. Have not found an idol yet.
Yeah, I feel like somebody found it during the challenge because they were going everywhere, and I went a lot of places, but I think I also went a little too far in places that the idol wouldn't have been.
Sure.
Yeah.
So as much work as I was putting in, I feel like a lot of it was for naught.
You really have no idea too, because you can just stuff it in your pocket.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts before we get to this first vote? Obviously, an important one. They all are, but any closing thoughts from anyone? Any cases you want to make?
I think it's a little suspicious that Bradley said he lied to people on the first trip.
I didn't say I lied. Well, someone's lying to somebody.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
agree.
said.
I think what he's saying
Because
is somebody's gonna be lying to somebody. assuming
No
you
one-
have someone in mind who would vote out.
Because the way the numbers work, if two people go off, and then you swap,
We all,
odds are you're talking about one of those people. Like just
we
the
all
way
had
the
a
numbers
one-on-one conversation with somebody.
Right.
So somebody was on this.
Because we don't
I
have.
think like we just have to stay hyper fixated on like what's going to help us win the next challenge, so then we're not down 2 at the merge. And
Yeah,
so
sure.
it's like tonight I will be voting based off of who I think is a liability in the challenges.
That's right.
Sierra, I love you, but I feel like you pose the biggest detriment to winning the next challenge, so this is my vote.
Voting for Caleb. I think that he gets flustered at the beginning of challenges and it confuses us and we can't stick to one strategy.
I don't mean anything from this. It's just what I gotta do.
By a vote of 3-1, Sierra was the first player voted out of the game and became the first member of the jury.
Okay, are we ready?
In this challenge, players from each tribe faced off one-on-one, attempting to knock the other player's bottle off their paddle. If a player's bottle touched the ground first, their opponent would be rewarded a point. First team to 5 points wins immunity.
What are you doing?
All right,
Don't worry about it.
Survivors ready? Go!
How are you? What's your favorite color? Do you like the color blue? Oh, we're gonna try to.
Go, Bridget!
Do I just like?
Yeah! It is 2-0 for Voquete. Survivors ready? Go!
Don't copy my
Both,
strategy.
both keeping their distance, treading a lot of ground here. Bit of a wobble. This is a battle. We're a minute in. It is close. No one wants to drop. Will this collision come to a head? Oh! Survivors ready? Go!
That's not pick. That was.
Survivors ready? Go! Taking notes from Zach and Bradley. This is a much more mobile round than the last time. Survivors ready? Go! first to 5. Survivor's ready, go! Survivor's ready, go!
I grabbed it. I don't even know.
And with that, Ivaka won immunity, sending Vokete back to Tribal Council.
Well, we're back. That was a tough one. Could have gone either way, right up towards the end. Obviously, you took an early lead. You lost the lead. You managed to start to claw back. You couldn't get it done all the way. Bad luck? Tribe difficulty? What do you think? Bradley?
It's a tough challenge. We were always paired up against the same competitor, so once you learned that competitor strategy, you know, it was difficult for both teams. I'm not going to make any excuses. I never got a point for our team on that challenge. Though I don't think it's all about that one challenge. You got to think about the whole. I know going into a merge, it's difficult to think about a team aspect. But I still think that alliances are strong, and if they're true alliances, then it can take you far.
So, you know, moving to this tribal, to this round, there's 3 of you left. Obviously, tough numbers. Basically, the goal is to get one person on your side, because inevitably someone is going to be the odd man out of the trio unless you're all voting for each other. What are those conversations like?
I mean, they're awkward.
Yeah.
If you walk away with somebody, then they know you're talking about them. So there's no easy way to approach it subtly, honestly. You kind of just have to. I think you just have to face it. Just be confident in whatever alliances you make or whatever strategies you put in play. But it's not easy, for sure.
Initially, when we lost the challenge, Caroline had brought up something about, just vote me out,
So is that a sense of honor thing, Caroline, or more of
just I was irritated.
exhaustion? Okay.
No, just irritated.
Irritated at the challenge, at the game as a whole, at what?
It felt like we could have won like all of those, but
Sure.
for some reason or the other, we didn't.
Yeah, it is tough, and it can break that way sometimes. But you have to remember, eventually, you move to an individual game. And so, how do you guys, as you dwindle down in numbers, how do you start to think about like what your strategy is moving forward? Because ultimately, 2 of you will make it out of here, right? Eventually, you're gonna merge. It's coming sooner or later. How do you guys think about approaching, being likely down in numbers, but having to find a way forward?
I mean, I think you have to think about who do you want to. I don't feel safe or anything by any means, but like, assuming you are safe, who do you want to move forward with? Do you want to develop a strong alliance, or like, what's the goal going into the merge?
Sure.
Because once you're in the merge, if you get there, you're automatically on the bottom. I mean, it's 5-2, so they can just pick you off one by one. So I think whatever strategy you make, you have to be confident in your alliance going into that merge, and try and sway 1 or 2 people. We don't have a lot of insight into how their team chemistry is, but there's got to be someone on the bottom over there, so you try and pull them in. But I'm thinking ahead, obviously, so I don't want to sound too cocky or arrogant or anything. Anything can happen at this point.
Do you have a reason?
I think he's really strong, and then I'm pretty sure he voted for me, but I think if on the off chance he doesn't, I wouldn't want to go up against him. So.
Okay.
It's all about alliances right now, trying to go far. I feel like we have something, but at the same time, I feel like I have a stronger alliance elsewhere.
efforts. I just think this is the best move for me going forward.
Okay.
By a vote of 2-1, Caroline was voted out and became the second member of the jury.
Go!
Okay, Zach, about 20 steps forward, Caleb about 30 steps forward. You can walk fast.
After the second round, the players were all gathered together expecting a merge. Instead, they were surprised by a tribe swap. The new Voquete consisted of Bradley, Bridget, Chloe, and Nick, while the new Ivaco consisted of Caleb, Sophia, and Zach. In this challenge, 2 players on each tribe were blindfolded and received instructions from a third player, looking to find cones hidden out in the field and return them to their own hula hoop. The first team to find 4 cones and bring them back to their hula hoop would win immunity.
On your knee, on your knee, on your knee.
Start feeling the ground.
On your knee.
How do I get back?
Okay, hold on. Brad, stop. Right.
Hands to the right
Stop.
a little bit.
And then, yeah, take a few steps, Brad. To the
All right,
right.
Zach, go
Stop,
forward.
stop, Brad. On your hands and knees. And then behind you.
Go to the right a little bit.
And then
Zach.
take another
Caleb,
step.
You got it. All right, Caleb, come
Right
back.
there, on your left hand, on your left hand.
Am I going?
Yeah, you're good,
Zach,
Chloe. You're good.
Here to
Yep.
the right.
Okay.
Now keep going forward.
Over here, Brad. Follow my voice.
Where's the hula hoop?
Okay, hard left.
Go a little bit
And
more
then
to the
take a
right,
step.
Zach.
One more step.
Perfect. It's going to be right in front of you in about 5 steps.
Perfect.
All right, Caleb, go about 2 steps forward, Zach, and then to the left a little bit. All right, Caleb, you're almost
Left,
there.
here, left. Okay,
Drop it
yeah,
off right
there.
now.
Keep going on that course. Right here, Brad.
All right, Zach, turn
Come on,
it
come on,
right to
come
the
on,
left
come on.
of you. Keep feeling to the left.
New Ivaco has got 2. Bradley's coming back with Voquete's second.
Caleb, go forward. You can
Both tribes have 2. We are all tied up. It is dead even who will get their next 2 first.
Going right. Yeah, keep going straight. Brad, you're good.
Zach is coming back with Ivaco's third.
Zach, going left. Straight.
It is
Brad, veer to the right a little.
3 to 2.
Chloe, to the right. You're not dropping yet. Brad, to the right. Chloe, left, Chloe. Left, hard left. Okay, drop. And then to your right, a little bit more.
Keep going. Go
Brad,
faster, Caleb.
veer to the right, hard right, and then take some steps. Chloe, to behind you, Chloe, behind you. Brad, stop, Turn around, Brad. All right, go for
Voquete has all of them in hand. Can they make it back in time? Caleb trying to find the last one for Ivaco.
right there. Chloe, one more step. Okay, yeah.
Voquete wins immunity.
Yeah.
It's over. It is over.
Oh my god, it's right.
I have to think of like looking forward, who am I supposed to align myself with to stay like in a comfortable position? And I think, you know, it could go either way, so it's hard because there's love both these guys.
Well, let's talk about the challenge a little bit, because you guys had different strategies, right? You took a lead late where you had 3 and they had 2, and you made the choice not to send Zach back out so you wouldn't have to retrieve him. Do you think that was a bad decision in hindsight, or you think other factors contributed to the loss?
I honestly think what I should have done, instead of making Caleb go all the way out to the far one, was steal the one from Chloe. That was closer because he was close to it.
That was the
And I
other thing
thought
was
she
gonna
was
ask
about. I
about.
thought she was about to grab it, so I was like, well, she's about to grab it, so I'll just have him keep going.
Yeah, for a minute it looked like we had a race for that last one
Yeah.
between Chloe and
So I think that
Caleb, and
was
you. Okay.
that was my mistake.
All right. Well, you know, as Zach has speculated, the merge, it could be coming up. We are getting lower in numbers. How do you view, going forward? We talked about a similar thing at your last tribal council, but how do you see what is necessary going forward, because obviously in this case, not only do you have this tribe, but you may have connections to your old tribe. How do you balance those two?
I mean, I think the most important thing is who do you want to move forward with, and who do you feel comfortable with? Do you have any evidence on your side you think you could, sort of bring into your circle? Because at this point, once you approach the merge, it's a free-for-all, and it just is going to rely on previous relationships with this tribe, from this tribe. So it's very difficult to sit here, but you also don't move too far ahead, because this is such a long right now. This could be going home, so at the end of the day, you take it one day at a time, one tribe at a time, I guess.
Sorry, Caleb. I really hope Sophia, you're with me on this vote. I think it's really what's best for both of our games at this point, so I really hope we're together on this. I just hope I can trust in Sophia to make the right choice.
My heart is beating so fast.
I love you so much, but I have to stick with my previous alliance, what I built before. Love you.
By a vote of 2-1, Caleb was voted out and became the third member of the jury. After the third round, the players again were brought together and were finally merged, becoming the Tukey tribe wearing green. Before the individual game began, however, they were surprised once more with a redemption challenge, where the 3 jury members would compete to re-enter the game.
Go!
In this challenge, players would race to 4 stations, each with something to count: M&Ms, blocks, paper clips, and a square puzzle. After counting them all, players could return to an equation using the things they counted. Players would quickly learn, however, that the equation required specific numbers, forcing them to take multiple trips in order to ensure each number was right.
It's math.
Oh, you got fucking math in here? Jesus Christ. Oh, you're evil. You're fucking evil.
When they thought they'd solved the equation, players could attempt to unlock the chest using the correct code. If they were right, the chest would open and they'd earn their merge buff and a spot back in the game. If they were wrong, however, they'd have to go back and figure out what they'd gotten wrong, leaving the door open for another player.
No good. No good. Got to take a lap around the table. Caleb making his first attempt. That is also incorrect. Sierra making her next attempt.
With nothing to write with, all 3 players found themselves struggling to memorize the correct numbers and solve the equation, resulting in many failed attempts to unlock the chest.
Not the correct code. No good. You got to take a lap around. 9820 is not correct.
I can't remember what I just said.
Caleb, make it another attempt. Trying 9723 is no good. That's not the right code. In comes Caroline. It could be anyone. Everyone taking attempts right now.
Okay, well.
9920 is not the right code. Batman! Yes, yours first.
Oh, okay.
Steady hands, steady hands.
I know, I'm wigging. Hold on.
That's not correct. Caleb's got to go. That is also incorrect. She's got it. Open the case. Open the case. Caroline wins redemption and has made it onto the merge drive. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
In this challenge, players were shown increasingly longer series of colors. After the pattern was shown, players were asked to repeat each color in the order they were shown, one color at a time. If a player got a color incorrect, they were eliminated from the game. The last player standing would win immunity. By the third pattern, consisting of 9 colors, only Chloe and Zach remained.
Chloe shows green, Zach shows orange. I can tell you one of you are correct.
Oh, no.
The correct color is orange, which means Zach wins individual immunity, guaranteed a spot in the final 6. It cannot be voted out this round. Zach, winner of individual immunity, safe tonight, cannot be voted out and guaranteed. Wow! Woo! Well, for those of you who haven't been, this is Tribal Council. This is a space for you guys to discuss the game and what's been going on before you vote to take someone out of the game. So let's start with you, Zach, winner of the first individual immunity. How does it feel to be wearing the necklace?
Feels good. Feels good to be safe and not have to worry about it.
It came down to the end. I think both of you did not know the color. Zach guessed right. Chloe guessed wrong. Damn. Chloe, does it sting to know how close you were and
Yeah, it
unable to
seems
do it?
a little, especially because we both guessed.
Yeah. It's tough, but Survivor can be a game of luck, after all. So, speaking of luck, before we merged, we did have a tribe swap, right? Which was luck of the draw. We had no idea who would end up on what tribe and how they would be divided, right? So, how coming in, finding yourselves, in the minority, how did that work out, Sophia? What was that like? Going from the majority to the minority?
It was tough. It was really tough, especially going to my first tribal council. It was really hard. Voting out Caleb was really hard. Being in the minority is not fun. It's not a great place to live.
And then on the flip side, we've got someone like Bradley who went from the tribe that couldn't win to the tribe that couldn't stop winning. And what is that like, making your way into that?
I mean, I don't feel like it was anyone's fault when we were losing. It sucked. It's a sucky feeling. We knew we had to vote somebody out. Didn't want to vote anybody out because our team is a great team. But moving on to a team that was winning, and I felt like I actually did something right. I feel like I was just messing up before.
But as the last surviving member of Original Vocente before Caroline entered the game, how does it feel like the bonds have shifted? or not?
It's tough. Tough, Jeff. When everyone comes together, you know, you've got alliances that you thought you may have had in previous tribes. Maybe it wasn't an alliance that we was on the same team. I was coming in as an outsider. I didn't know anybody when I was moving on to whatever the team name was.
The red one.
Headed to Avaco.
Avaco.
But now that we're all on our own, I mean, it's tough, Joe.
Well, Bridget, you went from the winning tribe to the winning tribe. So this is your first tribal council, same for you, Chloe. Do you feel, obviously it is an advantage in the sense that you're both still in the game. Do you feel it is an advantage that you're experiencing, or a disadvantage that you are experiencing this just now for the first time?
I wouldn't say like disadvantage, but I definitely don't know what it feels like to be someone that people may be talking about. Like, because we've been on a team where people were like, oh, we don't have to worry about it. Like, we haven't had those conversations very much.
Sure.
So it feels weird in that sense.
Definitely that we're at tribal and everyone else here has been through tribal before, but
yeah.
This is... Oh, right. Yes, besides Nick. But for the majority of the people have been to tribal council.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, you're in a similar position, obviously. How has it been trying to integrate yourself with those that you maybe weren't playing with in the last round?
I'm pretty sure I've touched... Never mind. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I've played with everybody. Anyways, your original question about integrating, I feel like I've already...
Do you think those connections are strong enough to help, you know, put you in a good spot having played with all these players?
And man, we'll see, but listen, I know the conversations that took place at the beginning of the game and in the middle, so all I can do is see if people were serious about it or not.
Okay. Caroline, the woman of the hour, won your way back into the game in a hard-fought challenge. It was very tense. I had no idea who was going to win it up until the last second.
Iconic, honestly.
How does it feel having to work your way back into the game, having been out of it and maybe had less time to forge connections, regardless of what tribe you're in?
I mean, I didn't actually think I'd get it. So that was kind of shocking when I opened it. But then I was like, oh yay, I get to be back in the thing, puzzles, and I just really like the puzzles, so it's fun.
So you're a challenge beast.
Yeah.
You're in it for the challenges.
Yeah.
Okay.
To win them.
I like that answer. Now, the last thing I will point out is, you know, you guys have different bonds and connections, but we started this game with 3 pairs, and we've lost members from 2 of those pairs. How has that affected how the game has gone? You know, having a mix of individuals and pairs in the game.
I don't think it's affected it at all.
Would you consider them, you know, you think you've been able to consider them separate entities as players and not really linked?
I feel like the couples that have been like voted off, like they've done a really good job at like focusing on. Flip me off. Like I feel like because I was on a team with Zach and Sophia, and I feel like they did a really good job at like separating the relationship from the game.
Okay.
So I feel like, and honestly, Sophia's voting off Caleb. If anything showed loyalty, that's it. Because like she very easily could have been like, oh, like I'm with my partner now, I'm gonna vote off Zach.
Which
and
as you know,
I appreciate that.
Separated them at the beginning, so I feel like it was definitely like from the beginning the couples weren't paired up on the same tribe, so I feel like we were able to make relationships already with them, not as a couple.
Yeah. Interesting. But as I said, you know, all 3 pre-merge groups were pairs of couples. So do you think that you know, the threat of a possible reunion later on influenced those votes, or do you think that they were for individual reasons?
I think it was maybe on people's minds, but I don't think that was solely true.
Well, last thing. This is the first post-merge. This is the biggest group of people voting for the night. We've never had more than 4 people vote. Now we've got 7. So there are a lot of different pieces here. Do you guys feel that they have fallen into place, or that this is something that could be more up in the air tonight? Nick?
Me?
Yeah. Or anyone who wants to ask the question.
Listen, man, I have some thoughts on how it could go, but just like I said, it depends on which conversations people choose to honor. I think it gets very complicated when you go from, like you said, 4 people to 7 people.
It's a lot harder because there's so many people that you want to talk to, and you feel like every conversation is different. You're hearing different things. So it's hard because it's like, honestly, it could go anyway tonight. I wouldn't know.
Okay. Well, I think with that, unless anybody has anything else, it is time to vote.
Sorry, buddy. We've been planning this since the beginning. I have to break you and Caroline up. I know, personally, Caroline tried to get me out, but I think you're the bigger threat, and we're gonna go for it.
Nothing personal. She's a strong contender. It's kind of why I'm thinking maybe it's time to go. There's also another potentially powerful, scary alliance forming between her, Chloe, and Bridget, so anything we can do to weaken that.
I'm sorry, it's just how the numbers have preferences right now. I'm so sorry. It's nothing personal.
And only because it was her, Bradley, and I need an alliance with Bradley.
I'm so nervous. Oh my god, this is so legit too.
This is not fun.
2 votes, Nick. 2 votes, Sophia. Nick.
Snakes.
3 votes, Nick. 2 votes, Sophia. The 4th player voted out, and the 3rd member of our jury, Nick.
This is fucked up.
It's enough. Try to spoken.
Snakes.
Sophia.
Nothing personal. I just don't know that I can fully trust you at this point. I feel better off with some other options.
I'm sorry, but maybe not really.
I don't want to do this, but I think I have to in order to make it.
For this challenge, players selected their own order, not yet knowing the rules. Once the order had been decided, players would come up in order one by one and select a bag from behind a screen or steal a bag from somebody else. Inside each bag was a scroll containing some kind of prize on it. The players would have to describe this prize or lie about it to the rest of the group. Some were beneficial to the game, others were not. These included an advantage in the next challenge, won by Bridget, and a safety without power advantage, won by Sophia, which allowed her to walk away from Tribal Council immune from being voted out, but unable to cast a vote. Only one scroll represented the immunity idol, which Bradley found.
Alright.
Alright.
Bradley has
I got a stick.
Bradley wins individual immunity. Safe at Tribal Council cannot be voted out this round and earn a spot in the final 5.
Wow.
Congratulations.
That's a cool
Yo,
fucking
fuck your stick.
Safe.
That wasn't the original stick claimer. That was Zach.
Potential for even numbers. Does that change your mindset going into a round like this?
I think it's just on people's, like, it's just something to be aware of. I don't know if it I'd rather not go to rock.
I feel like I don't know the game.
Well, I can walk through that at least quickly. If there is a tie, we will revote. Only the people who tied can be voted for. If we still go to a tie, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to mutually, unanimously agree on which of the two players you'd rather went home. If you can't come to that, we'll draw rocks. The way drawing rocks works is that the two people with votes are going to become safe, and everyone else is going to draw a rock. One of those players will, by pure chance, be voted out of the game. So, going to rocks is a risky, method. You're gonna pull a rock out of the bag.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, does the possibility of a tie, when it enters your mindset, is it a avoid them at all costs and avoid rocks, or is it a, well, maybe we need chance to go our way? Like, how do you guys think about that?
I think avoid it at all costs.
Okay.
I don't think we should let anything go to chance in this game.
Yeah.
Now, Bradley, you won individual immunity, so you are safe tonight. Obviously, that is a good feeling. Do you, with that,
She's not happy.
is there any, do you see any downside to being the one person who everyone knows truly what you had?
It's hard because I don't feel like I have a good read, especially this time, for how people really feel, because I'm not able to be voted for, so I'm only just now hearing about voting.
Sure.
On the docket.
Multiple people.
That's what I hear.
You just told me you've only heard one person's name.
Oh.
T.
Let's unpack that.
I'm bad with names.
That's true.
Well, that brings up a good point, right? With multiple names potentially going around, multiple plans being fed in your ears. How do you determine what's true and what's not, and where you wanna put your chips down, or who you might want to work with? Because our numbers are getting smaller, right? You can't work with your alliances forever.
That's true. I know that some alliances that I had, I may have not. Kind of just going along with this game, trying to figure out, because I can't tell the truth. But I think that I've probably done things that I need to undo. So,
Okay. Now, all right. Well, finally, going into this, obviously, we've just had this eventful immunity challenge. Some of you, well, actually, all of you, had the opportunity to see more than one item that was in play, which means you know what, at least some part of the puzzle of what else might be out there, right? Good or bad. Maybe not who has it, but what is in the game. How, Chloe, has that affected kind of this round as you're trying to piece puzzle, piece puzzle, you know what I mean?
Piece the puzzle together.
Sure.
It adds a lot of dimension to it, because suddenly all of these advantages were added at once, wherein typically what you would expect is people would find these advantages on their own, and that information just kind of trickles out slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's kind of just you're trying to piece together which one you had and who stole from who. But I got a handshake from my own brother, so I don't really see how that. It's not that I don't love you, it just get a handshake. But it definitely adds to the complexity.
All right. Does anyone have any closing thoughts? Anything else they want to say before we get to the vote? For once?
Jeff, I have something.
Yeah? All right, do you want to tell everybody what this is?
So I got a safety without power advantage that has to be used the last time with 6 people left in the game. There are 6 people left in the game, so I'm going to use it now.
Right.
But that also means I can't vote.
So basically what that means is Sophia is going to leave Tribal Council. You cannot vote for Sophia tonight, but Sophia cannot cast a vote. So she will no longer be a part of this Tribal Council. I'm going to ask you to enter the cabin.
Take care of Juno?
and go take care of Juno.
Self-soothing.
So the numbers
Yay, Sophia!
have gone down. Now there are only 4 people to be voted for in the game. You cannot vote for Sophia. You cannot vote for Bradley. With this in mind, let's get to the vote.
Can't go against my alliance. So I feel like tonight it's either you or it's me, and hopefully it's not me.
He's just honestly the biggest threat, and he told me he was voting for me. So it's just time.
I'm trying to regain trust in my alliance that I bring. Let's see if this works.
All right, if anybody has a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. All right, I'll read the votes. First vote, Caroline. Next vote, Caroline. That's 2 votes, Caroline. Zach. That's 2 votes, Caroline. 1 vote, Zach.
Who said his full name? That is mine.
Someone wrote the government name.
Zach. That is 2 votes, Caroline. 2 votes, Zach. 1 vote left. The fifth player out of our game and the 4th member of our jury. Caroline.
Oh my
Caroline,
gosh.
the tribe is spoken.
It's been a pleasure.
Really sorry, it's just the numbers wouldn't have worked out. So it's nothing personal.
In this challenge, the final 5 had to first compete in a word unscramble, with only the first 4 finishers making it to the main part of the challenge. Bridget, using her advantage from the previous challenge, skipped the word unscramble and moved straight to the second part of the challenge, and Bradley was left out after finishing last. The 4 remaining players then each got to choose a partner from the jury in the order they solved the puzzle. Chloe, finishing first, chose Nick. Bridget then chose Sierra, Zach chose Caleb, and Sophia was left with Caroline. One member of the team would have to run behind the lodge to memorize a grid of colors. They would then run back to the road, where they would communicate the puzzle to their partner, who would run to the tables and attempt to replicate the puzzle. The first player to get the grid correct with their partner would win immunity.
All teams are communicating right now. But how much are they memorizing and how well are they transferring information?
Jeff.
Incorrect. Incorrect.
Jeff.
Oh, there's one more? God.
Incorrect.
Yeah, what's the top? Well, we can just assume it's right.
Chloe! Please! Individual immunity! All right. Chloe, you have won individual immunity. Safe at Tribal Council and guaranteed a spot in the final 4. You cannot be voted out tonight. For the rest of you, I will be seeing you all at Tribal Council very shortly, where one of you will become the next player voted out of the game.
Such a good job.
Well, final 5. Here we are, getting down and down in numbers. Chloe, individual immunity winner, managed to win both phases. Do you think that came down to choosing the right partner? Do you think that first part really was an advantage in being able to win the game?
Definitely. I was really upset with myself because in the advantage swap, I thought I had the advantage that David had, so I would have gone on. But it ended up working out really well, and I think that Nick was a really good choice. And we worked very well together, and it worked out.
Bridget, you did have the advantage. Didn't end up working out for you. Do you think it was a mistake to choose second and take that safety?
Absolutely not. Because as I was sitting there with Nick and Caroline, I know, goddamn, I don't think because first of all, as I was sitting there with Nick and Caroline, I had absolutely no fucking clue what that puzzle could have meant. And then I feel like me and Sierra worked well together. There was one slot that I think we needed to go back on, and as I was gonna go check it is when someone won. So I think that both of us did a good job with our remembering. So I feel like, no, I don't think that it was a bad decision at all.
Okay.
Woo! Woo!
Okay, well, inversely, Zach, Sophia, do you feel like coming last in the minigame hurt your chances in the main game?
No, I don't think so, because Caroline and I were really close. It was just like I had one square missing, but we were like this close. Caroline was a really good player.
Yeah, I feel like it was mostly a wash. Like, who knows what would happen if we had different partners, but like I feel like generally it was probably, I tried to do it, like I probably missed one square or a few squares, like, I'm like, I don't know. It's a hard game.
Okay. But we're coming to the point, obviously, where alliances get trickier to maintain because there is fewer and fewer votes and fewer places to hide. How, Sophia, do you reckon with, coming down in numbers and getting to that point where maybe you need to break away from who you started?
Well, it's hard because you want to stick with your alliance as long as you can, but like you said, we're getting down in numbers, so at some point you have to like start thinking about the end game as well.
Sure.
You can't bring everyone to the final 2 or 3. So.
Final 5 is also significant because it is the last time immunity idols can be played. Is that a thought on anybody's mind?
For sure.
Do we think we're expecting to see idols this round?
If there was any time, it would be on this. It would be now.
Okay. Well, obviously either they have been difficult to find or people have been saving them to the end because we haven't seen any idol plays up to this point. How does that factor into your thinking, Zach?
It makes you take a second thought. You have your 4 people that you think you can trust and you want to go with that, but then it also makes it a little bit more difficult because you could go with that and everything could go great from that perspective, but it could still end up going home. So you got to give that a second thought at least.
Sure. Well, I don't have a lot here. What is there anything you guys have before we move right to the final 5 vote? Going once, going twice. All right, let's get straight to the vote. Why delay this any further?
Wait.
Yes.
Oh.
Chloe's got something.
My handshake.
Can you bring it up?
Oh.
My handshake.
What is this?
This advantage offers 1 free handshake from any player still in the game or from myself. Who would you like to take a handshake from?
You.
From me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yay!
Nice. Bridget, how does this affect the game in your mind? Are you rethinking your plan knowing that she's just received a handshake, or are you think you're solid?
Honestly, I'm upset she didn't want a handshake from myself, but I am happy that she got one from...
It's Jeff Probst. Jeff Probst.
So nobody is rethinking relationships based on our choices there?
No, not quite yet.
Jeff Probst.
Not quite yet.
All right. Well, with that, it is time to vote. plan. This works.
I have 2 ways to go and I don't know which way I want to go. This breaks my heart. I'm so fucking sorry.
If anybody has an immunity idol and you would like to play it, now would be the time to do so.
Jeff.
Whoa. Whoa! Whoa! Wow. Wow, wow.
The rules of Survivor state that if a hidden immunity idol is played, all votes cast against that player will be nullified and will not count. This is not a hidden immunity idol.
What? How?
Any other items? This is your last chance.
What? What?
Okay.
Wait, then what the fuck is that?
Whoa.
This
God.
is a hidden immunity idol. All votes against Zach will not.
Whoa!
Wait, can you hold it? Can you hold the necklace and the hammer side by side? That's like, oh my gosh. You made it. That's awesome.
Okay.
You made it for yourself?
I will.
That's even better.
Wait, you created that? Like, I'm gonna try it? That's awesome.
That's awesome. Wow. Damn. It's gonna play out.
I don't know, but it probably didn't work out.
I will read the votes.
Oh no, Bradley, you're
First vote.
Yeah.
Zach.
Whoa.
Does not count.
What?
Zach.
Mm.
Does not count. Richard. Fifth player voted out of our game. This time we are jury. Richard.
I did not see that coming.
Plot twist!
Oh my god!
The snakes, they got you.
Don't look
Look
at
at
me
that,
like
look at that
that.
little smile on him. I need you to.
Leave the tribal council area.
No, Bridge.
We love you, Bridget.
We love you. No, don't tell me you love me.
I really hate to have to do this, honestly. We've been in an alliance since the beginning, and this really hurts. But A, I'm unclear on the status of what's going on with Bradley and potentially idols. And I guess this happened to happen sooner or later, so hope you have no hard feelings.
I love you. I'm so sorry. There's too many idols that are about to come out. Oh, I'm really, really sorry. Except I know that blue idol's gonna be played tonight, so it's between the two of you. And I just thought this might be a little bit better for my game. I'm so sorry.
And this challenge is on in 3, 2, 1, go.
In this challenge, players would balance a ball on a disc on top of a wooden pole. At regular intervals, each player would have to move their hand down to the next tier. The last player to remain without dropping their ball would win immunity.
Everyone holding steady. This is the easy part. You know, barely have to balance. It's at eye level, not that much distance. The real trick comes early on, not from balancing, but from maintaining your arm strength. And bugs. But bugs are what you need to survive in order to win Survivor. All right, we are at 3 minutes. I am going to give you 15 seconds. This is a live transition. You cannot touch the ball, you cannot touch the disc, but you may move your hand down. If you want, you can swap hands, but you won't be able to move it again for for the rest of this section. I'm gonna count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna be here for about 5 minutes. Challenge that gets harder as you go, not just because of the balance, but because your muscles will start to feel this sooner rather than later. Those live transitions, the only time you can really rest your hand, go by pretty quickly. You're playing for a spot in the final 3. The most important challenge yet.
Is it a final 3 or final 2?
That's a good question. There are no more immunity idols in play. The only way to guarantee your spot in the next round is to win this challenge. One of the other 3 of you will be going home so close to the end. All right, you may move down to the next level. I'm gonna give you about 15 seconds. This is a live transition. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, you are now on the 3rd level. There's only one more after this. We're gonna be here for 5 minutes. This is where the balance really starts to get tough. A little wobble from Zach. Some movement from Bradley. Zach's got it steady. Bradley's keeping the ball still, but a lot of motion there. Oh, he's doing some work. Sophia and Chloe pretty steady. Zach has solidified quite a bit. Hunger becoming an element in this challenge. The bugs staying a factor. Does not get less buggy as the sun goes down. But even a quick lapse of concentration can be the end of your game. 3, 2, 1. You may transition. Remember, this is live. We've got about 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as I say that, Bradley with a great save, but having to move quite a bit to keep it up. And Chloe drops and is first out. We've got 3 left. You really want to win this and earn your spot in the final 3. Bradley trying to steady, but requiring a lot of motion. A lot of motion from Zach, and suddenly out of nowhere he is out, and we are down to 2. Sophia and Bradley. Here until the end. No motion from Sophia, a lot of motion from Bradley, but both are staying on, and that's all that matters. So hard to balance at this level. Even the slightest movement and that ball is gonna carry. It gets tricky here because the ball is above your eye line. It's a lot harder to maintain eye contact to keep it still. Motion again.
Yeah, that's insane.
We've passed 20 minutes in this challenge. Very little sign of motion from either player. Sun is mostly set. Transition to the dark becomes harder and harder to keep track. Motion from Bradley, but he's able to recover. Sophia's been solid as a rock. Arms hurting, wrists hurting, necks hurting, but we go till there's only one left. And Sophia drops. Bradley wins. Individual immunity is safe tonight and earned a spot in the final 3. Bradley, you win individual immunity, safe at tribal council, and cannot be voted out, and guaranteed a spot in the final 3. For the rest of you, one of you is going to come up so close and not there. Down from 9 to 4, we have fewer than half our players left. We had a really long, hard battle for immunity. Bradley came out in the end, was able to win it. How did that one feel?
It felt good. I knew going in that I had a little bit of skill in that area, but when I saw with the thing not moving at all, I was like, this is gonna go over.
Sophia, you were really close. You were steady as a rock, but just at the last second, kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was really tough. I was so in it. I was like, I'm gonna win. I need to win so bad. I need to get the final 3. I need this. And yeah, I was steady as a rock the whole time. It was tough. I don't know what happened. I looked away for 1 second, or my shoulder spasmed, and then I lost it and couldn't get control. So that was a hard loss, but you know.
Well, final 4. This is a point where it is very easy to end up in a tie, right? All you need is one person on your side, and you are not automatically going home. Now, at a final 4, we'll go to a tiebreaker competition if we need to, if it is tied. There's no more drawing rocks. There's no tiebreakers, tiebreaker votes. We will vote, and if it is 2-2, we will go straight to a tiebreaker. With that in mind, are ties something you guys are thinking about trying to avoid? Or is it something that maybe you're a little more okay with at this stage? Chloe?
I think most of the questions concerning ties have been what the tiebreaker will be more focused on, because I know that in Survivor it would be a fire making challenge, but I don't really see that being out here. So I think more of our focus was questioning what would happen if there was a tie and what possible challenges we have on the stage.
Would you say then, Zach, that the unknown is something that scares you, or something you're more willing to embrace?
I think the uncertainty makes it that much scarier. Like that makes me want to make sure that it's not split as much as possible even more. Whereas if I knew it was coming to be a little bit more prepared, so that definitely has factored in hard.
Okay. Well, as I said, final 2. I don't think we need to prolong this. Final 4, excuse me. I don't think we need to prolong this long. anyone else have a final case you want to make before we move to this vote? You know, not a lot of targets here. Obviously, Bradley is safe, but that leaves just 3 people vulnerable. So one of you will be going home here. Any final statements? A message of peace and kinship, and yet one of you is about to be out of this game. With that, we will get to the vote.
Really hate to do this. It's been a pleasure playing the game with you, and yeah, just pretty much you or me at this point, I feel like.
This sucks. You're my #1 ally since day 1. So this is really tough, but I'm doing what I need to win. I don't think I can win if you're still in it. It needs to be me, not you. Sorry, bud.
I feel so bad, but you're just too good. You just win, so I gotta believe I'm so
What's happening here, but we'll see if this works out.
Should have had more conversations, but that's what it is now.
After a tied vote, Zach and Sophia competed in a tiebreaker, answering questions based on the jury's opinions of people's games. Zach won the tiebreaker on the final question, sending Sophia to the jury as the 6th member. The final 3 were then surprised one more time with the information that there would be a final 2. In this final immunity challenge, players competed to build a fire puzzle. The first player to complete the puzzle would earn their spot in the final tribal council, as well as the right to choose which player would join them in the final 2, sending the 3rd player to jury.
Players pull out their pieces. Now, this is not an easy puzzle.
In the end, Chloe edged Bradley out by a single piece to win the final immunity. She chose to send Bradley to jury, making her and Zach the final 2 to face off with the jury's votes.
Win individual immunity, guaranteed a spot in the final 2. Choose who sits next to you. Final tribal. In voting out are now the very players who will vote to determine which one of you is named sole survivor and the winner of the $150 prize. Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to give you both a chance to make an opening statement, present your game as you saw it, and then each jury member is going to ask you a question. answer it. If they have a brief follow-up, that's okay, but we're gonna make our way down the line, and then once everyone has asked their question, then you'll have a chance to make a quick closing statement, and we will vote for who is the winner of this game. Any questions?
All right. Well, I think first and foremost, I do want to give mad props to Chloe because it was a pleasure to play the game with her, and I thought it went just about as well as it possibly could. We're both sitting here, so I'm very happy about that. I came into the game trying to be very conscious about my threat level. I illustrated that in I think a couple different ways that I can talk about a little bit later on. But that was something that was, very high level for me. I think that I heard my name thrown around the entire game from multiple people. I was told that people were talking about me, so that was something that I always had to consider. I think the social relationships were something that I did really well in this game as well. Having a very close alliance with Chloe, but also having, a couple other very close alliances that were completely genuine, that really got me far in the game. And I think that, we as a group worked really well together. I think I also was able to show some of my prowess in the challenges. Got the individual immunity challenge win at one point, and then also found the only real idol in the game, and was able to nullify a couple of votes with it and secure my spot in the final four. So yeah, that's a little bit about my game. I'll look forward to your questions.
Okay, Chloe, go ahead.
So yes, congratulations, Zach, for making it here. This was the goal from the very beginning. So going into this game, I actually didn't know a single one of you, and I was very, very nervous about what that would mean for me. And I honestly thought that I was going to be the first to be voted out. And then when we picked buffs, and I got 2 buffs in my thing, meaning I was on no tribe, I was like, well, wow, that's even worse than I could have possibly imagined. But I think that even with not knowing people, I was able to use that to my advantage, and I think that I was able to play the middle and make really meaningful alliances with a lot of you, and I was able to keep a lot of those same alliances throughout the game. I managed to play a perfect game. No one wrote my name down ever, and as far as I know, I wasn't talked about very often either, unless that's not to my knowledge. But I managed to win 2 individual immunity challenges, and no one thought to write my name down to vote me out. So I look forward to hearing all of your questions.
All right, and with that, we will move to the jury phase of the game. Sierra, you're first.
All right.
What is your most proud moment of the game today?
I think it's going with Chloe to the end. Like, I told her from the very beginning, like, I want to go to end with you no matter what. I never wavered on that. I never, put her name out there, at least seriously, maybe to throw a couple other people off, but I was 100%, dedicated to our alliance the whole time, and that's honestly the thing that I'm most proud of.
I think that I'm most proud of the amount of alliances that I was able to make and how strong those bonds were, like especially with like Sophia and Bridget, because I normally have a little bit of social anxiety, so I was really nervous that I wouldn't be able to talk to anyone. And of course, Zach obviously helped a lot because from the beginning I knew that I would have a really strong alliance going into, but also the fact that I was able to play the challenges like physically a lot better than I thought I would. I'm definitely the youngest out of all of you guys here, but the fact that I was able to pull wins through with like puzzle challenges, I thought that I'm very proud of that. It's very surprising.
I would just challenge that Chloe has non-Zach wins.
What?
Zachary, do you have
What?
things outside of your alliance with Chloe that make you feel like you're worthy of
Sure.
the win?
I mentioned the immunity idol. I think that's a big one. I also was really good in the challenges. Chloe kind of mentioned like she came in not knowing anyone, and that was really hard. But I think, as we've talked about a lot, on the flip side, it was also really hard coming in knowing everyone, having my wife in real life on a different tribe, stuff like that. And so I had to be very conscious of how I approached those relationships and went about that. And I think that was a big reason that I ended up getting all the way here. I also mentioned a little bit on making sure that I was trying to manage my threat level the best that I could. That ranged from, maybe when we were making decisions on votes, trying to leave a couple of bigger targets in the game that I felt like could shield myself. And then also there were a couple of times where I tried to maybe relax on some of the individual immunity challenges after the merge. I was again afraid that if I won the first one. I was afraid if I won like one of the next couple too, that I was just gonna immediately be targeted to get voted out. So that was the other thing that was rough.
Next up is Caleb.
Well, Zach, Chloe, I just want to say congratulations, first of all.
Thanks.
My question to you is kind of similar to Sierra's, but a little bit different. I want to know what you think was the most pivotal decision that you made today that got you to this point.
I think that earlier in the game, when Sophia and Bridget were still in the game, I had a really big decision to make as far as which alliances I would like to take forward, because people from both sides had approached me. People would approach me about maybe getting rid of Zach. I had Bridget approach me saying that maybe Sophia and Zach would pair up, so we should double up. I had Sophia approach me saying that, hey, maybe we should double up when it gets to final 3 and it's me and Zach. And of course, the entire time I had Zach approaching me saying, hey, maybe when it's the 4 of us and the 3 of us, we should pair up too. So I feel like the strong alliances I was able to make, I was able to see which one would best benefit my game, and I was able to choose which person would help me in the long run.
I think the most pivotal moment for me was probably voting out Bridget, unfortunately. I, again, was trying to manage threat level and make sure that I was contending with all my alliances. I think at that point, I can't remember exactly how many people were in the game, but I felt like if we didn't make a move on her at that point, I believe maybe that was going to be just the 4 of us, Sophia, Bridget, myself, and Chloe, at which point I thought I was almost certainly going to go home if that was the case. So I made sure that, you know, that was a move that I could make and kind of point to that I think I, you know, at least had a good part in leading, if not the majority of it, and that really kind of structured the rest of my game from there.
Thank you. All right. Next up is Nick.
I want to know, what was the easiest decision you made tonight?
Not a ton sticks out as easy. I felt like I was trying to think through strategically for all the moves, and like I felt like there was a lot of effort put into most of them. I mean, the obvious move I think was when I got when we tribe swapped and I was put on a tribe with a real life boyfriend and girlfriend, which was a little bit scary. The obvious move obviously for me was to vote out Caleb, but I think my natural alliance with Sophia at that point made that very natural. It seemed like she was on board with it the entire time and didn't really have any doubts about that. And I felt like that was something that could have been really hard and potentially could have ended the game for me, but ultimately, you know, obviously kept me in the game, and wasn't something that I had to work too hard for because of the previous relationships that I'd already built.
I think that while it wasn't an easy decision, the easiest decision was probably choosing to take Zach to the final 2. I knew that if I was going up against Bradley, he played a much different game than me, and he was the only one remaining from his original tribe, and he had a lot more flashier moves. But I think that because of the relationships that I had maintained throughout the entire game, I was certain that I could have an easier transition.
All right. Next up is Caroline.
Pass.
No.
You got nothing? All right. After that is Bridget.
You may have kind of answered this already, but like, what do you feel like was your riskiest move of the game today?
Honestly, I think the riskiest move was voting you out. I feel like that was very risky for me at that time, especially again with the alliance of 4 that we have. I feel like that easily could have backfired on me. Again, I think that was something that I felt long term I had to do for my game, because I felt like I was just going to be dead to rights if I didn't. And that was just something that really stuck out for that.
I think that mine was definitely in when it was the final 4, and when I decided to vote Zach, and then it was the final 2 tiebreaker. That was a really hard decision because I had been with Zach from the beginning of the game, but it was I was thinking that it would probably be better for my game because Zach was such a strong competitor to try and get him out. Obviously that didn't work. We went into a crazy tiebreaker, so then that kind of forced me to have to fight for my spot in the final immunity challenge to ensure that I was sitting here tonight and I wasn't on the jury.
Okay. Sophia, it's you.
Congratulations to both of my number one alliance members.
Yeah.
My question is, we've heard you guys say a lot of nice things about each other and the alliance and all that. Why, give me, both of you, why should the other person not win?
Well, not that I don't respect Zach's game, but I think that I was able to secure branched out alliances a little bit better than Zach was, and also because Zach was a bigger threat. A lot of times when I was having side conversations with other people, when I could have thrown Zach's name out there, I hadn't thrown Zach's name out there. So while Zach did do a good job at managing his threat level, I think that I also did a good job at protecting my alliance member and making sure that other people weren't trying to go after Zach, because I knew that having Zach by my side would have been better for my game. Oh, well, because I was protecting him the entire game. And then when I won the final immunity, I decided to take him.
I definitely agree that you had a big part in protecting me for the entire game, but I feel like that, was at least in part due to, the relationship and the work that I put into it too. Sorry, what was the question? Oh, why did she not win?
Why should Chloe not win?
I think we keep kind of touching on it, but I think the big thing is I just had to work a lot harder for some of the relationships and the threat level than she did. I think she was able to fly under the radar because she didn't really know anyone coming into this, and just generally wasn't, talked about very much. Whereas again, I was constantly, as much as I wanted to keep our alliance together, and I did, and at no point did I turn on that, I had to be thinking about other moves that were going to get me further in the game. Because as strong as our alliance of two was, that wasn't going to get me to the end of the game. I think it did towards the end. But obviously, like post-merge stuff, there was a lot of other moves that I had to make. And I think that was something that I had to do that she didn't necessarily have to do very much of at all.
Thank you.
All right. And finally, Bradley.
I've been thinking about it, but I don't know. Zach, I think you played a good game. But at the same time, we had talked a couple rounds ago that I would take you, further. We go to the end together. That obviously didn't happen, and so as of now, you don't have my vote. If you want to say anything to convince me, that'd be good.
Sure. I said this earlier, I think we were just never on the same page in the game. I think a lot of that just was the fact that we didn't even really, we weren't even able to work together until I think after the merge. So like we just didn't have a relationship. In terms of me kind of, going against you in the last couple, I think you also were going against me every single vote for at least the last few rounds, if not longer than that. You already had said that you were throwing my name out there earlier, which, I was hearing that from my alliance, that it was people on the other side, which at that point was most likely you. So I would just had to be very cautious, I think, of you, and it was, nothing personal. But I just felt like, we just were never on the same page. I didn't feel like I could fully trust you, and that's why I had to take other avenues for the game.
Sure.
All right. Well, in that case, that is all of our jury questions. I'm going to give you guys both a chance to make a quick closing statement, and then we will get to the vote. Chloe, you want to go first? It's up to you.
Okay, so there were a few more points I would like to make about some game moves that I had made, particularly the vote where 2 idols were played. Right after the immunity challenge ended and I had won individual immunity, Bradley had walked up to me and he had told me that he had an immunity idol, and while it was fake, I was the only person at that point of the game that knew that there were potentially 2 immunity idols in play, because I had known that Zach had already had the immunity idol. So I definitely feel as though my relationships with people helped to where I felt as if I was always in the loop. I never voted wrong, and I also, in a game where social relationships and past relationships and truly understanding who you're playing against really matters. And I didn't know anything about you guys personally. I didn't know like your strategic levels and anything like that, or how you were going to play the game and stuff. I still managed to make it to the end. And in the most important decision of the game, deciding who would make it to the final 2 decision, that was my decision and mine alone. So it was very fun playing with you all. Thank you, Riley.
Oh boy. I guess I'll stand up. Yeah, I mean, I think I've hammered home everything at this point that I really wanted to touch on. I think I really played a multifaceted game. I think that when I needed to, I was very competitive in the challenges. That was definitely, I think, on the team challenges at the beginning. And then again, winning in individual immunity after the merge. I touched a little bit on needing to kind of manage the threat level and make sure I didn't go too hard. I actually can have Caleb attest to that a little bit. When we were paired up in that challenge, I told him, hey, I knew I already had an idol, so I was going to be safe at 5. And I was really afraid that if I won that challenge, I was going to be able to not play the idol at 4, obviously, and I thought I was going to get voted out. So I had kind of told him, like, hey, I really want to take this slow. I want to give someone else a chance to win, so that way I can hopefully manage that a little bit better. So I think that was a really big part of my game. I think socially, I think we both did a very good job of this, but we had multiple alliances. And obviously, I think the further you get along game, and especially of a game of this size where there's already not like so many people to begin with, you have to be thinking 3 steps ahead of where do I want to end up when I get to 5, 4, 3. Because ultimately, you can have a great alliance of 4, which, did us really well in the game. But if you don't start thinking of those steps ahead, it's going to be too late, and then you're the one that's going to get cut out of that. So that's why I had to make those closer relationships that were, pairs of 3s or 2s. And yeah, I think overall, I'm really proud of the game that I played. Really proud to be sitting up here next to you, and excited to see your guys' votes.
All right. And with that, we are set to vote. So now, jury, this is your final job. In a minute, I'm going to have you come up one by one and cast your vote. You are voting for who you would like to win the game. So please write down the name of the person you want to see named sole survivor and the winner of the $150.
Chloe, I think you played an awesome game. Started out very under the radar. One of my number ones. You did great. Did great in the immunity challenges. Great at strategizing. Always know how to talk to people. And I think your answers at Final Tribal were awesome. Hope you win.
I know I said I wasn't going to vote for you, but I think you deserve it. So, you played a great game.
Whatever the normal time is.
Yes, I want to thank you all for coming, for playing. You guys made this day really fun. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. You guys have made this really fun, and I hope that maybe someday in the future we can do something like this again. Yay! But for now, we've got one thing left to do, and that is to see you all in Atlanta next week for reading the votes. Good night, guys.
Yeah. What? This is the new era of Survivor, so we do it right away.
Yeah. These are votes for a winner. You want to see your name. You need 4 votes in order to be named the winner of Survivor Atlanta. I will read the votes. First vote. Chloe.
Woo! Good job, Chloe.
Next vote. Zach.
Ooh.
1-1.
Good job, Zach.
Next vote. Chloe.
Woo! Good job,
Two votes,
Chloe.
2-1 Chloe.
1 vote, Zach. Next vote. Chloe.
Woo, Chloe.
He's the live audience.
We are the live audience.
That's true.
The winner of Survivor Atlanta. $150 prize.
At the end of the day, she pissed me off less. played a dirty game, and I hate you for it, but you played a good game. All power to you, sister. Reluctantly, because I don't think either of them eat it, but it's okay. She's cool.
Chloe, I didn't know much about your game to begin with, but you truly convinced me during your final tribal, so respect.
I think Chloe played a kick-ass game. She was an underdog, she fought really hard, and she made the right alliances, and it made her just stronger.
Live reaction! Woo! Let's go!
Oh my gosh! The title of Soul Survivor, Zach, runner-up. Woo! Thank you all for playing. For the record, it was
Sorry, Zach.
Bradley.
Wow! Bradley!
And
everyone else voted for Chloe?
Everyone else voted for Chloe.
Everyone else.
You're so united.
Zach? This was so much fun. Y'all